Welcome back to the Michigan Business Beat, brought to you on the Michigan Business Network. And we are broadcasting, of course, not at our studio downtown, but a little remote. But that's okay because the news stories are remote in essence also. So we are in the middle of one right now, and we have caught Julie Brixie, who is the Michigan State Representative from the 69th District. And Julie, it's very good to have you join us. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on this beautiful, pure Michigan fall day.
It beautiful every day here in Michigan, but you're right. This one is exceptional. So first question, which doesn't relate to subject matter at all. Are you getting any sleep? I often wonder if state reps and senators get any sleep.
It depends on the day of the week, but it definitely is a very much high intensity job, and I love the pace of it.
Well, you're doing a marvelous job at it. Recently, no fault just took a turn in the state of Michigan, realigned, etc. Maybe a few unforeseen consequences came from that. So what are you doing about that?
Absolutely. You know, the 2019 law has really profoundly changed the lives of accident survivors, their families, and even many businesses in Michigan who specialize in brain injury and rehabilitation services. So not to give our age away, Chris, but you and I have been paying insurance premiums for decades. So imagine that you were in a catastrophic car accident in 2010 after having paid your premium for I don't know how many decades. After your accident, you would have received the health care you paid for under your plan, including brain injury rehabilitation, physical therapy, and even direct care supports in your home if they were needed. And now what's happened with these reforms that were passed in 2019 and implemented July 1st of this year, the health care coverage you paid all those years for has been taken from you. And this is what's happened to Michiganders all over the place. So the healthcare providers who used to provide this care are going out of business. The legislature terminated our private contracts with our insurers. And they did this when the fund that we use to provide these services has a $20 billion with a B dollar balance to provide for the care that was guaranteed under our contracts. So the weird thing is that the fund is not subject to FOIA or any transparency and is managed by the insurance industry. So it really raises huge questions as to what's going to happen to those funds if we don't fix the law, because now we're seeing insurers decline payment for medical care and long-term facilities are closing. One of my colleagues did an analysis of billing, and since this law took effect on July 2nd, only 3.3% of billable services have been paid out for critical health care that Michiganders paid for and were supposed to be guaranteed under the policy. So that's gonna, in my opinion, to strip Michiganders of the coverage they paid for is unconscionable.
All right, so where do we go now? How do we reverse that, make allowance for it, et cetera? And I don't mean reverse the law as it is, but there are obviously a few little caveats in there that need some tweaking.
Right. And, what was the point of all of this reform? It was supposedly going to help our car insurance rates. And yet our car insurance rates are still among the highest in the nation, second only to Louisiana. So our drivers haven't been saving the money, and the survivors of catastrophic accidents have lost the care that they paid for decades. So, what I noticed with all of this is that there was a lot of buyer's remorse. So to get to your question, earlier this year, I announced a bipartisan effort to help ensure survivors don't lose their coverage. And I was able to get 73 current and former lawmakers representing both the House and the Senate and Republicans and Democrats to sign on to a memo that was part of a bipartisan amicus brief that we filed in the Court of Appeals in the House. Representative Andrea Schroeder and myself filed that. So the 73 lawmakers who signed on outline in very clear terms that we did not intend for this reform to be applied retroactively. And many members were told directly that it wasn't going to be retroactive. So I voted no on it. But the important thing to understand is there's enough buyer's remorse between the folks who signed on to the amicus brief and the folks who have co-sponsored several fixes. There's two bills, House Bill 4486 and 4492. When you count up all those votes, there's enough votes to pass this in the House. Leadership has been blocking it. And sadly, most lawmakers weren't given the opportunity to read the reforms before we passed them.
Well, Julie, we will be back to you on this as it progresses, but we wanted to get the sides, both sides actually, of this argument to get it out there in front of the business community. Julie Brixie, Michigan State Representative, 69th District. Always good to spend time with you, and thanks for giving us a little time.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
You've been watching this on the Michigan Business Beat. I'm Chris Holman on the Michigan Business.